What's going on, YouTube? So today we're going to finish pulling this rear end out. Alright, so we jacked the rear end up. With the rear end up, we took the shocks off. If you let the rear end drop, you're going to be in a bind. It's going to be hard to get them shocks off. And then I put some jack stands on the body and lowered the rear end down on some jack stands as well. And I went ahead and took the lower control arm off. It's just one bolt back here, right there. It's where they usually go. I had a lower control arm relocation bracket on it, but now we have to take the drive shaft off. We have to take the torque arm off. Now, if yours is a stock torque arm, it just slides into a rubber grommet. You don't even have to take it off. This one bolts on up there. It's a tunnel mount, so it bolts on. So I'm gonna have to undo it from back here. A stock one, you can just pull it straight out with the rear end. When you drop the rear end down, these springs will fall out by themselves, pretty much. But then we have to undo the sway bar. We can either undo the sway bar here, or we can undo it down there. And then the brake lines. We got to get the brake lines out, and then we have to take this panhard bar off right here. That big long one that goes across there. It unbolts here, or it unbolts up there. But we're going to unbolt it here. And that's what we're going to do today. I think I'm going to start. I'm going to do the drive shaft last. I think. Maybe I'll do the drive shaft first. I don't know. I'm going to do one of those two, because when we undo those, the rear end's going to, where it's just on them jack stands, it's going to try to flip. Honestly, you should probably take the drive shaft out first. That should be the first thing you do. And then on a stock rear end, like I said, that torque arm, it just slides up into a grommet up by the transmission. You can slide it right out when you put the rear end in. You can take the torque arm off when you get it out, or you can just leave it on, whatever. But the stock torque arm, you can put it on, then when you're putting the rear end in, you can put it in, then slide it into that grommet, and you don't even have to undo any of that up there, because it is kind of a pain on the stock assembly to take the clamshell off that holds that. But anyway, let's get down here and see what we're gonna. I think I'm gonna do the drive shaft first. I'm gonna do the torque arm last, maybe. Yeah. Oh, and actually the drive shaft will slide out with everything too, but mine won't, because it's got a pretty big yoke on it, and then it's got that drive shaft loop. I don't think that yoke's gonna, the U-joint part of the drive shaft's gonna slide past that drive shaft loop. But yeah, if yours is stock, the drive shaft and the torque arm, it'll slide right out. It'll slide out of the transmission. It'll slide out of the torque arm mount up by the transmission. So actually, when mine had the stock torque arm in it and didn't have a drive shaft loop in it, and I took the rear end out, that's the way I did it. I just slid all that out together. But my torque arm bolts in up on the, it bolts to the frame. It's a tunnel mount torque arm, so it all bolts together up there. There's no way it's going to slide out of anything. The aftermarket transmission cross members that have the torque arm mount on the cross member, those use a grommet too, and you can slide it out of those, but not the tunnel mount ones. The tunnel mount ones, they bolt completely in. But yeah, thought I'd throw that in there. Alright, I got the drive shaft out. Just 4 bolts. Push it. It's a good idea to put tape around these so these don't fall off, but because if they fall off, there's a bunch of needle bearings in there, and you'll never, odds are you'll never find them all, or you'll never get them back in right. But you'll see where I said mine's bolted in up there. The stock torque arm, it'll pull out, and the transmission will actually pull out of the drive shaft actually pull out of the transmission if you pull the rear end straight back. But I'm gonna undo all that. I'll undo the torque arm back here. I don't know if I want to do these bolts top and bottom or this and just slide it off to the side, but anyway, I'm gonna do the brake lines next. I'm gonna do the brake lines. They undo up here on that block right there. I probably should have turned the light on. I'll undo the brake lines. And then I'll undo the sway bar. Probably from here. Just let it'll swing down underneath the car. Then we'll do the panhard bar. Then I'm going to do that torque arm last, because I'm pretty sure when I undo that torque arm, this rear end's going to whoop. The front of it's going to flip down on me. But yeah, that's where we're at. There, I got the brake lines undone. I just undid the bracket off there. And then I crimped them real good with a pair of needle nose pliers, that rubber line going back up to the body, just so they wouldn't leak. And then I just put them up out of the way. I'm not sure if you can see that over there. Yeah, just set them up out of the way. Now, the only thing left is the panhard bar, sway bar, the torque arm. Alright, I jacked it up. Moved my jack stands out. Took the sway bar out. Like I said, it just dropped down. It's just a swinging. Swinging. And then I took the panhard bar out and just pushed it up there. I thought I was going to have to zip tie it, but apparently that rubber's holding it. And then I took my torque arm bolts out. You have to have the rear end down pretty low to get those out, because they'll hit the tunnel, and to get them back in. But now all I gotta do is pry the torque arm off there. The front of that rear end is probably gonna go straight down, so be careful of that. Liable to fall off the jack stands too. So I'm just might have two hands for this. There we go. Torque arm's off. It didn't fly down on me, I guess, where I got them jack stands wedged up in there. The shock perch is actually coming back and hitting those. So it's out. And now we gotta have the fun part of maneuvering it out. Hopefully I can just scoot these jack stands or whatever, whatnot. I don't know. Maybe I'll just lift it up, set it on the ground on this side, and then do that side and slide it out. Let's see. Well, definitely need two hands for that. Alright, had the son-in-law help me. I scooted it back on the jack stands. Just scoot one jack stand back, one jack stand back, one jack, until I got it to there. I got the son-in-law and we lifted it up, set it over there. It's actually a little bit heavier than I remember it being, but yeah, that's how you get it out. And I'm gonna work on straightening these perches, or straightening where the sway bar bolts to. I actually welded those on, but that was when I really sucked at welding, and that one moved a little bit. I need to have those even, so I'm gonna try to cut the welds off those, grind it all down, and put those back on and weld them both even. But I'm gonna take all the brakes and stuff off, but that's pretty much it. That's how you take a rear end out of a 410F body. Y'all have a good one.